So what we do now is extremely exciting, and I'm so curious and happy for the next session, because who said that? I think Stefan. Without Facebook, you wouldn't know that there are other tango scenes in the world. Like, kind of, right? Exaggerating, which is true for me too. Like, without Facebook, like, no idea. But on Facebook, I see, you know, tango, like global tango world. I just see everything. I don't go to festivals, marathons. I just see it on Facebook. I feel like I was there, right? All the like. Darko, that was you. That was your Darko. Yeah. So Facebook's so important. At the same time, I may not be the only one who's a little fed up with Facebook and not so happy with many things on Facebook. But I feel like if I leave Facebook, I mean, I can't afford to because I'm an organizer. But even if I was a social dancer, I feel if I would leave Facebook, crazy idea. You know, where do I get my information? So we have, I think, the specialist on the advantages and disadvantages and solutions to this problem. Welcome, Daniel.
Okay, thank you. Maybe before we start, because we have the idea of the global tango community, and we have it in practice sometimes when we meet the dancer from Japan. Then we have the witness of Eric today, who said, I started before computers. And it worked, right? I had a conversation with Benedict once, and she said, you know, remember the time I went to the city, I had only an address. And I didn't know if there was a milonga or not, but I went there, it was in some weird back room. And until I opened the door, I did not know if that milonga would happen or not. But once you're inside tango culture, which is almost the same everywhere on the planet. You recognize the dynamics, that's the same music, the dance is compatible, hopefully, yeah. But so we have that, and then we have this online world, which is weird. Now we are all connected, or we're not connected, and we've all been there, but who of you does not have a Facebook account? Who of you is thinking of leaving Facebook if it were not for tango? So something must be wrong with Facebook. And I have my Facebook account, I think, is from 2007, which is very early in Europe. And I remember the tango scene coming into Facebook, and it did a lot of good things for us. But something is broken today. And I want to share a little bit of what I think is broken, and it's not just my opinion, there is some data on it. Also what we can do and what we cannot do with it. Today, my clicker is not working, so we're collaborating together here. My Facebook definitely is broken, and this is kind of the idea of my feed, what I see. It starts with a rage post. This could be politics, it could be a video of a butt in a Mediterranean summer tango festival, where a lot of people are hating and writing comments, etc., but it's not something I really want to see. Then I have a lot of advertisement. And since the beginning of this year, I get a lot of content that I didn't even know was on Facebook. I never followed anybody, but the tango content that I'm looking for is maybe 1 in 10 or less. So I actually deleted the app and just go in through the website. But then there's all these notifications and whatever, you know. They want me to come back, and I know it's almost an addiction in a way. I want to go there. There's this fear of missing out, but on the other hand, I open it, I scrolled up once, twice, and I turn it off again because I'm turned off by it, yeah? So it's broken. But it was not like that. Now we can go to. Because what's missing is really, like, what are the events, what's happening? If you go to Facebook, you search for an event, you will definitely not find it. But you might find something that's past 1 year. Why on earth, would you build a search engine that doesn't work? Let's go. I think Facebook isn't broken, it's actively broken. They broke it because of something, and I want to share you a little bit more about this. Can you just fill the slide so we have all of them here? So there's just some parts. I mean, this picture kind of shows it, but what happens is the algorithm has been changed, and it's changing all the time. And what happens for us is our community is fragmented. Our feeling of connectedness is fragmented because we are not connected anymore. We get something, but we have no control over what we get. But there's a data hostage situation. Nobody dares to leave because you feel that you're no longer connected and you cannot reach your audience, your customers, your friends. So you need to be there. We are locked in. There is some form of censorship happening. Censorship in the meaning that you post an event, nobody sees it. Why? And you can't even verify it because you don't know how the Facebook of someone else looks like. It's all personalized based on your data, yeah, whatever. And then, of course, there's all these privacy stories. I don't know if you remember Cambridge Analytica, big scandal, the data that's being pulled out. I know that I search something on Google, I see advertisement on Facebook the day after for the same thing. Why? How? I don't want that data to be shared, etc. So there is that. Next. And then there's this attention hacking thing. If you have the app installed with notifications, it's always red. Come back, come back, come back. And then there's nothing really of relevance and you get more. All of social media is like that. Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, TikTok is probably even worse because they even have more AI on it to bring you back. But that's what they do. Yeah, they want to, they want your time. They sell that time to an advertiser. Yeah, that's essentially what's happening. But it was great. It really was. There's a phase within Facebook, I think, that made the global Tango community connected as we feel it still is. And it came because we had organic reach. You put an event out, people actually saw it. They clicked on, yes, I want to go. And then their friends saw that their friends are going, so they also wanted to go. You probably remember countless image albums of great scenes, great dancers, and it was great to be there. Or if you were even looking through albums with 400 pictures, you could not find yourself because the photographer didn't publish a picture of you. But that happened. Yes. So we had this part, yeah. We had AI tagging or whatever, auto tagging, but it's gone since 2015, maybe. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's for me where it kind of stopped. And we have the last one, what I call hyperconnectivity. I don't know how many Facebook friends do you have? I have about 2,500. You probably have similar, 1,000 more. And if I look into the profile between you, we might have 800 mutual friends. Of course, friends is a big word, but in that time, Facebook, with this hyperconnectivity, showed us the Tango we wanted to see. It doesn't do that anymore. So the impact for us basically was we could reach basically almost everyone, and you could search Tango in New York, you would find something, you would look for an event. It made the online community a community in a way, something that you could feel connected. But why did it break? And there's a guy called Cory Doctorow. He termed this term enshittification. And he says, this happens with all big platforms. It's based on capitalism, basically. Phase one is you give a great service out for free. People come in. That was us, yeah? We all went, oh, you don't have a Facebook account. You have to have, you see all the events. And then after an event, you would add friends. So you stay connected, you know where your favorite dancers would be going, etc. The second part is then it shifts. Suddenly they start to monetize it. So you can advertise. You need to boost your own post, and then maybe more people see it. For me in Facebook, I tried it for our events. It never really worked. I think you could track it. I never sold one extra pass through Facebook advertisement. But that's where it is. And now phase three, now Facebook has a monopoly. They have us as users, they have the advertisers, and now they squeeze more money out of this. Just a guess. Does anybody know how much profit Facebook made last year? $80 billion. They made more profit than BASF, my employer, does revenue. And that's for that. So imagine there's 8 billion people on this planet. They make $10 of profit for each person on this planet, and a lot of them are users. But imagine how much you click on advertisement so you could actually justify that money. I never buy anything of Facebook. So I have no idea how that works. But essentially what this tells me is there should be something coming. Yes. The incentive why Facebook exists is not in my interest. It's not in your interest or in our community's interest. It's against our interests. Yeah. Let's go. There's a very complicated thing, but I want to give you some more ideas how this actually happened. So the organic phase, 2004 to 2007, you could reach 100% of your friends. And this is the time when they also said, please make a page for your business or for your event. And then over the time, let's just go until here about, the reach dropped, and it's less than 2% because of the algorithm. And the algorithm right now goes for engagement, it goes for rage, it goes for hate, everything that keeps you motivated to come back and click on something. It's not for reaching any of your friends. You can pay for it, but maybe that doesn't even work. I've never seen Tango advertisement in the payment advertisement part, so maybe that doesn't work for us at all. Yeah. But it's systematic. It's not just for us, it's for everyone on Facebook. And here, the pandemic phase, a lot of people dropped off Facebook because there was so much fake and hate discussion about pandemic measures, and I don't know, that killed a lot of people. And since the beginning of the year, we don't even have fact-checking in there anymore, so anything goes, It's almost like the Wild West. It's the end of the Facebook era. They just try to squeeze more money out of it because they can. I don't know. Yeah. So let's go into a different mode. We benefited from the hyperconnectivity. I already said that. If you just go through that. The numbers, just to remember, in 2012, we had 1,000 followers, 2,500 friends or so. Yeah, you could reach most of them. But now you cannot reach any of them, even if a friend clicks or so, which means all your advertisement, all your events, that you reach somebody or anybody, it's by chance. And that to me means we need to get rid of this because it's not helping anymore. Yeah. We feel like we need to be on Facebook, but it's not doing what it needs to be doing. So the future, again, do we want more of this? We put all our weight and time and energy into a platform that works against us? Or do we want something that we own, that we control, that works for us? Yeah. So let's just go to the next slide. This is really a memory. Where were we before Facebook happened? And a lot of people said today, I've been doing Tango for 25 years. That was before Facebook. So you might remember. Yeah? We had mailing lists, newsletters. There was the famous Tango L discussion group, which was probably one of the first. Yeah? There was Newsnet, there is Reddit. Everybody of you maybe still has a website. Do you take it seriously? Is that really important? You just said you need to have clear communication on a website, in addition to Facebook. Yet most events are on Facebook and not on your website. Then we have regional calendars. I started one when I moved into the Mannheim area, but I did not start it because I had the idea, but I came from Munich where we had a very rudimentary platform, but it worked. It actually makes a scene and not just 3 schools or 2 milongas. Yeah. And then we have these directories that, let's say, are like an old Yahoo or so, where you can find things. But how many of you actually went to a Tango blog in the last year? A blog, a website of a school? How many go to a calendar? So this is where we are. Yeah? We've had a lot. Until about 2012, there was really Tango blogging was a thing. Vero, you just posted, you're moving your stuff onto the blog, but you actually created this in Facebook. So a lot has changed, yeah? And you realize Facebook is not the place you should have your own stuff. Yeah. So we lost a lot, but we still have some things. Yeah. Now, how do we move forward? What are the options? We have these teacher school Milonga pages. We have regional and global calendars. We have some blogs, some teachers, some artists, some orchestras have websites. In the pandemic, we started a little project to keep us going with tango without dancing. So we have a map of all the things that make up tango. The idea of the tango community is more than just dancers. We have musicians, photographers, we have painters, we have fashion, shoes, we have calendars, that you can put on the wall, postcards, many, many other things. But none of these pages is findable. They're not connected. If you don't hear about them, you don't know that they exist. You would not go and search for them. I don't know if Google would even show you them. You know, Google, maybe the first 3 hits, but also there's a lot of advertisement. So, but I think this is the starting point, yeah? Because if we could get that together into a network of tango content, we would have something and not a blank page for a new tool or something like this. Of course, we could think of, let's go to a different platform. There's Instagram, right? The Turkish community is doing a lot on Instagram. But we don't have events on Instagram, so that's not really helping that much. There's no groups where you can be more private. There's no real photo albums on Instagram. And then we look at WhatsApp, Insta, WeChat, TikTok. That's again Facebook Messenger. This is a Chinese one, Telegram. None of these are really useful. Does anybody have Twitter or had Twitter for tango? I think that format doesn't make sense. Yeah, you do. Okay, great. So we need something different. Yeah. So there's 2 options. One is we build something new, which is great. Yeah. We have control over usability. It can be super friendly for non-techies. It could be fast, maybe. We don't need to migrate. We just tell, hey, here it is, and everybody needs to come. Or we try to connect what we have, and it will be a slow growth. Again, like community growth. Yeah. You can't just make it wished happen. Let's go to both of them, but I will talk more about option B, because option A I don't believe in, but I still want to say what it would be and who has done it already, because it's also happening. And I remember when I talked to people, and I've been doing that for the last 10 years, a lot of people said, we tried to do something other than Facebook, but it didn't work. There's the Tango Partner app. Maybe many of you have an account, or maybe were spokespeople or something for it. But for some reason, it doesn't work. I don't know why. Yeah? Next slide, please. And yes. So, but it would be super attractive. And if just fill it completely. Scott actually is working on a concept and he's funding it. And I think he's put in 10,000 or more into programming it. So it's not cheap, but it's still also not there. It feels like it's a never-ending vaporware. But the screenshots would be great. Yeah, you could have a travel schedule for a traveling dancer or teacher. You would have photo albums, you would have calendars, everything. But for me, this also feels, he hasn't started it yet, he's still putting money into it. He will always need to put money into it. And we know money in tango for something like this might not be there. Definitely not in the hands of one person. Unless maybe somebody builds another Facebook that squeezes advertising money into it. Yeah, but I guess that's not going to happen. Or maybe yes. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he needs to launch it. Option B is different. And now, I'm trying to make it not technical, but it has some technical aspects that you need to understand. The first thing is, I think it will be going back to the time before Facebook. And we had this term, there was the web, a bubble. A lot of websites came out, but we called it the Web 2.0. And the Web 2.0 was basically that websites could interact with each other, not just the user. And this is something that we now have in a different level with a unified portal or a unified protocol called ActivityPub. And this is like email. So your website, when something new is posted, will send a notification to everybody who follows it. And that notification can have different types. It can be an event, for example, or some text. And that is very important. If we can upgrade our existing infrastructure, and upgrade, I mean, if you have a WordPress site, you just install a plugin. It takes 3.5 minutes to do it, and suddenly your website can be part of that. So it's simple if the infrastructure is there. Today we call this the Fediverse, and the Fediverse is the federated universe of these tools. It's open source software, it's free. There's people who actually believe in their own code, they believe in the features, and nobody can take anything of this away because it's there. Anybody can use it. Nobody can say, I will change the algorithm because somebody else says, let's go back to the old one, and he can just do it because the source code is there. And you have the permission to use it. So that's super important. And essentially, you would have this activity pub as the protocol layer, the network layer that brings everything together. And you can have different apps to talk to this, and they're all there. We don't need to develop anything. That's super important. Okay. And I'm saying, I looked at this for 10 years, and I saw the evolution. There's not many things that are really important. The most important part is it's ready there, and it's mature enough. These things started, like Friendica, it's a Facebook clone. This started as a development project in 2012. So it's more than 10 years old, where people put love and time into it. It works. It's not just a fad or a trend. What actually happened in the last 2 years, basically, is that a lot more attention comes into this. And this was triggered, for example, by Elon Musk buying Twitter. A lot of people said, I don't want to be part of that. Where can I go? They went to Mastodon, which is something like Twitter. But now if you go to the App Store, there's 120 apps for Mastodon. And we can use most of them also with other parts of this. Yeah? So that's why the complexity is quite big. And I will get back to that at the end, because there's things we need to do together in order to make it useful for us. But it's ready and it's doable now. So basically how it works, it's not as simple as Facebook, where you just log in and you're part of everything. There's no algorithm that doesn't show you anything. But you create an identity. I call it an identity, an account. Yeah? You can have multiple accounts, and you can be on different servers, and this is going to be important. Then with that server, so let's say you are on a Mastodon server, which is like Twitter, short text. You can interact with the video portal. Like, imagine you would have your Facebook account and you write a comment on YouTube with that account. And if somebody publishes a picture, that will also go to you. So it's all connected with one identity. And you can have a Facebook page, or you can have an identity for a page, or for a group, or for a DJ profile. You can segregate it in any way you want. And it will all still be connected in a way. It's super interesting. And you can choose the features, or we can choose the features we want, and we use that. And since there's no algorithm, it's super important to know that if you don't share anything, nothing gets shared. You use a hashtag, you can follow a hashtag, and then you have a list of every posting chronologically. You might remember early Facebook, that was the way. There was no algorithm. This doesn't have an algorithm. There is no way technically to build an algorithm, because it's decentralized. Yeah? You need to pull the content that you want, which means you get exactly what you want. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. This is just to show there's so many other activities, which means there are so many people who invest into the same ecosystem with a different idea. Yeah, there's a picture sharing service. There's a video sharing service. There's a microblogging service like Mastodon. There's something like called Friendica that has groups and calendars. There's Hubzilla, which even has collaboration on wikis or so. And they all have their own idea. I think we had that. You need to put your own idea into it. You try to develop it, but they're all compatible, which really makes it super beautiful, because you choose what you want. Someone else has built something great, and nobody can take it away from you. Okay. The Tangoverse, just to take that name, let's say we would just say everybody makes a Mastodon account. You do it in one server, you do it in that server. Theoretically, you can talk to each other. But then we would also have all that other content. There's information security people, there is scientists, whatever. Everybody has a niche server, and why is that? Because of critical mass. So imagine we have a Tango server, you don't have any friends. You go there, you go to the local feed, you see everything that happens locally, but only locally. And that server can actually be connected with another Tango server, and another one, and another one. And then we have a decentralized network where, for example, I have one for my 5 friends. You have one for your school. You have one for your milonga and your guests. Yeah? And they could each talk to each other, but you would only take responsibility for the people you choose to take responsibility of, and you would only pay for a small server costing, I don't know, 5 euros a month. And they could still all be connected, which makes it much more resilient, much more easy to fund, but it would still work. What we can also have is, we could have a calendar, like my regional calendar today. Every organizer has their own website. Every organizer has their own Facebook. Every organizer has their own newsletter. And then they have my calendar where they need to go in, they need to understand how it works, publish an event, and then I distribute it also again to everyone. In the future, my calendar could just say, I take everything you publish, and since we speak ActivityPub, I can just take it one-on-one, publish it further. And then our neighboring region could say, well, I also want to subscribe to these events. Can I have that? Or Tango Marathon directory. The organizer just say, I have a website, and when we publish an event, it automatically gets distributed to the global community. And then somebody says, I want to make a niche one. I don't know, only events with DJ X, or only events with teacher, something. You could just automatically aggregate it. Suddenly we have something that we don't have today. Yeah, we have a system that you can pull the content out that you want, and you can reshape it and package it as a product in a way, right, for someone else. Or here, Jonas could provide the video service that he already does, maybe sponsored by some Tango shoe brand. So a lot of things are possible. Yeah? How do we get there? I have done the experiment. Does it really work? So these are the 2 websites that I'm running. On the left-hand side is Rhein-Neckar Tango for our regional events. It uses a plugin for events. And now all the events that come in are pushed via ActivityPub into that system. Tango Marathon directory has custom code. It does not have a calendar plugin, but it still publishes every new event, just not as an event. Yeah, so there's 2 examples. And I have a few screenshots just to show you that, yes, it works. So this is a Friendica page. It kind of looks like the old Facebook. And here you see there's one event that was published. It's almost like on Facebook. It looks like that, yeah. There's probably an event button below. You can filter. You can make different groups for different topics, like traveling friends, friends from Japan, local teachers. You could put them in that, and you can see it. You need to put in a little bit more work because there's no algorithm, but you see exactly what you want to see. Next one, please. This is a calendar from Friendica again, and every event that comes through ActivityPub is added to my calendar. And I choose whose events do I want to see, maybe from this portal, maybe from that teacher, and then they go in here. I can click on them, can say, yes, I attend, and that would be reflected back to the organizer on their own webpage. Next one. This is my collection of Tango blogs. And actually from this collection, I made a page which has all the blogs. Whenever somebody publishes a new blog, this will get distributed into the sense. You could go in and say, I don't know which blog I want to follow. I want to follow all of them. You just click following, and you would have that. Next one. This is mobile, yeah? Because that's a discussion I had with Scott. Are you going to build a mobile app? I said, no, I don't have the money for that. Mobile apps need updates. You need iOS and Android. But we have Mastodon apps. Hundreds of people have built them already. We can use them. Yeah, this is Mona. You see here events with calendar details. See pictures of videos. It's already there. There's even already some Tango content inside. Not much, but a little bit. Next one. This is how it looks on my phone. I have these apps. These are web apps, different ones. Here you see, as I said, Tango Marathon Directory does not show an event with click on yes going or not, because I haven't built it, but at least it shows something. This is a different platform. Next one. This is again 4 screens from mobile. So it's all there. We just would need to use it. But again, what does that mean? Creating an account somewhere? No. We need the service, we need the infrastructure. So depending on where you are, what could you do? Yeah. If you are teacher, studio, blogger, and you have WordPress, install the activity plugin, that's it. And then automatically that website has an account in the Tangoverse, basically, in the Fediverse. There's even a so-called Friends plugin, where in your WordPress site, you can interact with all your followers directly, like in a Facebook page today, right? But you just need to install it and tell people, I have that, follow me. Organizes Milonga's events, yes, use this and share your events so we can distribute it further. Dancers, of course, without the consumer of the content, this doesn't make sense, but we don't start with the consumer, because then we have an empty platform and they never come back. So we need to start with the content providers. And of course, we need people who help write tutorials. How does it work? How does it work in my school or in my region? Yeah, so in your case, if you would only focus on your school and your students, that's fine. And then you would write a process probably. And we could scale that process to Isabella's school. Doesn't need to reinvent it, it's the same stuff. Maybe she wants to do a different tool or has a different calendar to integrate it, but in general it would be the same. So we could scale quickly, but you just need to take responsibility for your own school, which is in your interest. And this is why I say it's a cooperative approach, not a collaborative. We don't need to work together on one standard. We just need to do the same thing in parallel because we have the same overarching goal. Yeah. And I think that's easier in the Tango world than real collaboration, at least from my experience. Last one, and this is important, what is still missing? The first one, I call it reference setup. Yeah, I did this for Rhein-Neckar Tango and for Tango Marathon Directory. Now I need to kind of write it together to say this is how it could work, so others can replicate it. Ideally, we could have a one-click plugin that installs and configures everything for you, so even if you're non-technical, you can do it. But this is just a matter of, it needs to be done. Yeah? It's not that it's not possible. More discovery, that's something that I don't know about, because I'm talking about decentralization, but would it make sense to actually have a directory of dancers and schools, and so we know which websites we can follow? Or, I don't know, Andreas might only be accessible with Telegram. He doesn't want to go to Mastodon. But would it make sense to have a list where you say, I'm only accessible on Telegram? I think yes, but then we need to create a central directory or multiple ones. And something like Yahoo. Yeah? Remember Yahoo before Google came? Does anybody not remember it? The difference is Google has an algorithm, it decides what the top 10 are, and Yahoo was like an A to Z. Say schools in Germany, and then you would have all the schools. There was no algorithm, nothing. It just needs to be curated in a way. I think that makes sense, and I've started to collect them a little bit, but I might have 30%, yeah. And then the question is, do we need to coordinate on anything? Communication, maybe, yeah. Might make sense to communicate still on Facebook with similar messaging and a landing page of here you can start. We need maybe 2 or 3 servers to get started, yeah. That's the bootstrapping part. Right now I'm running one Friendica server, anybody can register. But I'm not willing to run one server for 1 million tango dancers. Yeah. So who are the ones who say, okay, I'm technically affine, I would do it. I would do it for my friends only, or for my school, or only for DJs, or for teachers. It makes sense to do that, and it could even have a funding model, yeah? If you say, okay, you pay, I don't know, 10 euros a year, and then you can be on my server, I provide the infrastructure, I have 100 users, and it pays for itself, yeah, in a way. And you can pay others as well, because you can buy these services. You can buy a, I don't know, Mastodon server for yourself. There's already infrastructure. We don't need to do that. But this is where we are, and from my last 10 years of searching, how could this work? This is the first time where I said, I think now it can work. All the puzzle pieces are there. We would just need to use them. Do we have time for questions?
Yes, we do. Good, keep going, arms up, you know? I'm just gonna start in front here. We have like 10 minutes, okay? So, like, maybe if I may say so, quick and sharp questions.
We have also a session afterwards for questions. If you
All right. Short question. So we talked about how the organizers can get here, but for its success, network effect is everything. So if we build, would they come? It's the user side. How do we get users to come in?
Yes and no, actually. You're thinking from Facebook's perspective. I spoke with many, many people over the years. It's like, what would you miss the most? And what they miss is access to events. They don't miss chat access to the whole community. So I think this network effect is not that important because we have calendars that work and we don't have network effect because my community, I don't know how many dancers we have. I have 300 people on the email subscription. Maybe we have twice as many, yeah? Yeah. So, but we don't need network effects like Facebook with a few million. So I think the idea is right, but that would be for a social part where we need this, I post something, you comment on it. But because, I mean, if we are connected, we don't need 200 other people to do it. It's not social media where you want organic reach to sell, I don't know, some book to 1 million people, yeah? That's where you need the big network effects. And if you're a platform provider, you squeeze the network effect. But for us as a small community, I think we can live without it. Yes.
Perhaps I'm thinking because I travel for Tango a lot, but
Yeah. No, he was just saying that he's traveling a lot, so he needs the connectivity everywhere, not just in a local milonga or a local scene, basically. And I think that will grow organically once it grows. Yeah? But we don't need to wait for it.
First of all, thank you for the lesson. I felt really as a student because this is not thing where I feel like, let's say if we are innovative in some community building things, here I'm more like using what we have. Like,
yes.
Okay, you have Instagram, Facebook, let's use it as much as we can. So this is kind of feedback or question. Also, like my experience is I was talking with the students and people from the community, and I got the feedback that many of them, even when something is very important, they just see it. Even they know that they would push algorithm by like or by share. It still works, not on the level that it used to be. They're totally okay with the idea they wouldn't take action to push something quality. So I think when you said it's ready and it's doable, you need I have to digest it, and I think that for the people it should be processed. I don't know, like for how. So my question is, for how long do you think it will take so people are aware and all of us decide to join the energies presence?
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. But as you just said, most people today don't even use the network effects because they don't like. But if they would like something and you have an event with 80 likes, then the network effect and the algorithm would use it. But we don't need an algorithm. We just need your page. I follow your page. I see everything you do. Nobody needs to like anything. Yeah? But of course, if they click on the event that they go, then my friends would see it. And maybe I want that, so I do it. But today they don't see it on Facebook, so I don't do it. I mean, we even have marathons. We used to have marathons where you had 95% of participants in a Facebook group and you could coordinate. And the last big international events I went to, we had maybe 30% and no activity. It's dead. From my perspective, it's already dead. We just go through the motion. Isa.
There's a little bit follow-up on the first question. I'm just trying to get my head around what happens with the everyday dancer. So say I'm organizing a milonga, I have a mailing list of 500, so instead of using that or in addition, I share my webpage with the server and I maybe tell all my 500 people, here's where the information is, and then it's just accessible. Am I getting this right or am I missing something?
You're missing one part that I didn't talk about, because ideally we would change your website so you just put the event on the website and the newsletter gets sent and the activity pub gets sent. We don't need to choose one over the other. The important thing is your website works and it's connectable. And then the next website works and is connectable. And then one after another, and somebody comes and aggregates. Because it's easy, it's doable, it's a standardized format. And then we get that network effect where everybody says, how could we not do that before? Because this works. Yeah. But you probably wouldn't need to change much except for your infrastructure. You would still publish on your website, you would send out the newsletter, and people could follow you. That's new. Yes. Without effort. Or like in my region, I have teachers who actually have a hard time to use anything else but their own website. Because they don't have time, because they don't care, because they don't want to think about it, then suddenly I could just take it from them easily, and we could have a bigger view of the actual happening in the scene. Yeah, because I know that there are some holes in the calendar. If I don't fill them manually, they are not there. But I would like it to be complete, because I would like to show everybody what we have. Yeah. Isa, Vero.
Do you already know of another interest-based community that is using this, and what is their experience?
So yes, I do know, because I know there are, for example, Science Communications has their own Mastodon server, but they don't have this event-driven thing. They have a lot of discourse, yeah, communication, sharing, etc. And we have 15 million people in the Fediverse. And that number is probably too small because not every service actually reports numbers. It's mostly Mastodon, and it works. Of course, there's big servers, but there is one from the Chaos Computer Club. That's IT affine, yes. But the SciComm community does it, the InfoSec professionals. There is a regional one that doesn't work so well, but it depends, yeah. It's coming, it's growing. That's why I showed that timeline also. It's not like we've missed something that happened the last 7 years. But it's more like now is the critical mass is there, and the future from now on is more clear than it ever was with an alternative.
Have you investigated into GDPR data privacy if you're an aggregator of information running this on your private server?
So yes.
What are the impacts?
And there's guidance, of course, also from like Chaos Computer Club how to do this. But the thing is, if you run a server for your 10 friends or for your school, right now you also collect data from them. So there's not much difference. And what I'm saying is also we shouldn't join the Fediverse with all our content and flood Tango into that. But we should just say, okay, we curate who we exchange data. So we only have Tango in that space. And then you could even say, it's closed, it's relatively secure, and people can be with a pseudonym. Yeah, you don't need to track IP addresses. So all the data capitalism that Facebook, etc., do because they monetize it, we don't need it, so we don't even need to collect it. I see less risks on that part. Yeah.
Last question, Megan.
I am a little bit of like a rube when it comes to tech. So what would it look like? So I would say like Sharna's a new person at my school, and I would say, this is how you stay connected, Sharna. You download this app, you go to this website. Like, what's that? Like, what would I be having people do who also don't know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I used the word complexity before in a way because there's so many options now. So what you usually have, you probably have, I'm assuming, right? So you probably have a list. Just put your email address, I put you on my mailing list. You have that already. Yeah. You have a website. Yeah. So in the future, you could also say, I have an app. Because I run a Friendica for my students. If you want, you can join that. And then you have not just that, but we have groups where we can coordinate and who comes where, the socials, the going to the beer, the cooking together. We do that on that app.
And it's all in that one app?
It would be in that one app, yeah. But that app, if you choose to, could speak with your neighboring community's app. So Sharna has an app for her students, you have an app for your students. It won't cost you much more than your website today, but they could talk to each other if you wanted to. Or you could just say, if my students go to your Milonga, they could see it because we have that connectivity. And then if they go to Southern California, and they have an app, and then New York has an app, but it would be the same ecosystem, and they would talk to each other. So you don't need 300 apps, just one. And that would be the Tango app. But yours could be green, yours could be yellow, yours could be blue, and they could be different apps, actually, but the experience would be the same. And then Jonas says, I only share videos, but he could still interact with your event on his app. Because of that activity pub, that's the connector between everything. Yeah. But it works like email. I follow you, you post something, I get a notification. If I don't follow you, I don't get anything. But I could find it on your local feed, yeah? And if my app and your app talk to each other, I would see your stuff in my local feed as well. But no one else would. Yeah. No. Think out of it as a connected system of rivers. You have different lakes. They're all connected with the same water. Water is ActivityPub. But Friendica and Mastodon would be different rivers, but they might be connected. So you could send signals through the water. I don't know, maybe electricity through the water. You could telegraph. But each would be different. One would have rocky beaches. The other one would have bars. Yeah? So Friendica, for example, has a calendar. Mastodon does not. If you care about events, I would say go to Friendica. If you want to have a group with 4 people, or we want to have a group where DJs discuss, we don't have that on Mastodon, so go to Friendica. Unfortunately, a lot of the answers will be go to Friendica, because Friendica is kind of like Facebook was, without the algorithm, without the capitalism around it. Mastodon is more like Twitter. But most people, when you talk to them, they know Mastodon, but they don't know Friendica. That's just because a lot of people went from Twitter to Mastodon, and then press talked about it, etc. And Friendica is much older, but they don't have the evangelism. Yeah. And technically, it's PHP. Simple requirements from a web server, etc. So it's really, it's easy.
Amazing. Daniel, I admire you for your brain and your stomach, I have to say. Thank you so much. Thank you.